Hi everyone, and it's really nice to be here with you today. I want to thank Dr. Ramona, Dr. Purab, and the London Digital Twin Research Centre for having me while I share my journey from uni to industry. Before we begin, I'd just like to ask a couple of questions. Feel free to just answer with the show of hands and those online who just with the answer as well digitally. How many of you remember feeling really anxious during your graduating year, unsure of what your career would look like after graduation? Well, that's good to know because I was right there with you. I would have probably raised 3 hands if I could. So I'm going to start off by telling you a bit about me, and I'm going to start right from the beginning. So this starts all the way back in Goa, India, and early 2000s is when my parents had either their worst or their best roommate. And when I looked about that big, we moved from India to Dubai, and I've pretty much done all of my schooling there. And about 3 years ago, my parents thought, oh, we've had enough of this eternal sunshine and heat, so let's move somewhere else. So we decided to move to UK in London, but I realized that partly clouded is like a permanent weather forecast. That's a picture of me when I was younger. And then when I moved to the UK, I joined Middlesex University on their computer systems engineering program. And I graduated right here last summer. And that picture is taken of me on the day of my graduation. You can tell we don't look quite different from the previous one, do we? Let me go to this actually. These are some of my pictures that I've taken from my time here at university. I had a very eventful time here, and I remember making a lot of great memories, a lot of great friends, and a lot of great opportunities that I had here. I think the 2 most eventful things I've done at Middlesex would be my time at the London Digital Twin Research Centre and the time that I spent as an SLA for Dr. Tuan's class in signal processing. The one thing that I think could have improved a bit would be the ratio of women in engineering degrees. As you would have probably been able to see from most of the group pictures, there's not more than 2 women in any of the group pictures. But I'm sure we're on the right track, and I'm sure we'll be seeing those changes very soon. After my graduation, I had a very short but very insightful stint at UCL, where I worked as their IT systems administrator over that summer. It was a very unexpected opportunity, and I say unexpected because it knocked on my door literally the day of my graduation, right as I threw my cap up, took all those pictures, and was planning this really amazing trip back to Dubai. So yeah, it took a lot of me to say no to all of that and to say yes to a summer job. But I did end up taking it up because I thought it would be nice to get my hands a bit dirty in the world of systems management and IT. And I did learn a lot about that. I did learn a lot there actually, and I learned a lot about IT and systems management and configuration. And it gave me a good taster of what I could expect when I would start on my graduate role in September that year. Which now brings me to my current role at AtkinsRéalis. Before I even walked the stage at graduation, I was very, very happy and pleased to have secured a role at an international engineering consultancy, AtkinsRéalis, in their telecommunications and information systems team within their real consulting practice. I've learned a lot over there, and while it seems like a perfectly easy setup, it really wasn't. It was a lot of hard work and some very intentional steps that I'm looking forward to sharing with you today, and I hope you resonate with some of them. Those are some of my pictures with my colleagues at AtkinsRéalis. The picture there is a picture in the bottom left, is a picture that's taken in Derby from a digital rail signaling course. The picture there at the top right is taken at a real life trade show. And the other pictures are pictures with some of my colleagues. And you can see here, the ratio of women is a lot better actually, because in most of the group pictures, we have at least 4 women as compared to 2. So it's definitely improving. My time here at Middlesex was amazing. And I was exposed to such a broad variety of concepts and a very challenging engineering community in general. But if there was one thing that I did realize is that there's so many different paths you can take, especially for a degree like computer systems. And I didn't want to stick to one path. I wanted a variety of engineering projects to try out. And AtkinsRéalis gave me that buffet of engineering projects, but it was Middlesex University that set my appetite for that. So I'd like to thank the entire faculty of Science and Technology for giving me that opportunity and that appetite here at Middlesex. We'll now talk about some of the key projects that I worked on since joining the company. It will be about a year for me. I joined the company last September, and I've celebrated 1 year with the company now this September. The first project that I'd like to talk about is the NEOM Oxygen project. I like this project because it wasn't just challenging, it was very impactful. Have you guys heard about that big Lion City project in Saudi Arabia? The one with the big mirror walls? Okay, for those of you that don't know what NEOM is, let me paint a quick picture for you. Imagine a very futuristic city in the deserts of Saudi Arabia that's going to be designed as a line right across the deserts up to the beautiful Red Sea. That's NEOM. And Oxygen is a city in NEOM, an industrial city of NEOM, which is going to be designed in the southwest corner of it. I was very lucky to be exposed to such a project because when I first heard of it, it sounded like something straight out from a sci-fi movie. But I was very happy to be part of the Smart Services Master Planning team, where we were looking at integrating digital technologies on the themes of circular economy and Industry 4.0 solutions. And our solutions were going to be based on those 5 strategic pillars that you see in the picture there. So advanced and clean industries, research and innovation, port and logistics, integrated supply chain, and urban communities. I learned a lot about industrial smart solutions here, and I got to work with a really fantastic team that was based partly in the Middle East, in Saudi and Dubai, and partly in the UK. And I got to get exposed to a lot of different stakeholders who are working across different time zones. Very futuristic and very forward-thinking project. I enjoyed it a lot. The next project that I got to work with was HS2, High Speed 2. If you've been anywhere near a news outlet, you've probably heard of HS2 for a couple of reasons. Firstly, because of the whole controversial political landscape where the government is trying to cancel the phase of the project. And secondly, because it's one of the largest infrastructure projects in Europe at the moment. HS2 is going to be designed as a high-speed rail, and it will be the second high-speed railway in the UK after HS1. It's going to be designed as an intercity railway, so it's going to connect London with Birmingham, Manchester, Leeds, and other cities. But rather than speed, what the project is actually trying to do is alleviate the capacity issues that the East Coast Main Line and the West Coast Main Lines are currently facing. In this project, I got to work a couple of months with the integration team and a few months with the electrical and mechanical team. I'll spare the technical details for now, but if there's one thing that this project has taught me, is to appreciate the railway industry more. Let's do another show of hands. Who over here has ever moaned about trains being late and delayed, but you never given a space on this train, even though you paid for a seat? Just to be clear, I may work in rail, but all those train delays, it's not me. But yeah, we're all guilty of moaning about it. In fact, I did it just this morning when I was getting here. But if there's one thing that this project has taught me, is to appreciate the railway industry more, because I've learned firsthand the complexity that comes in integrating these various subsystems to design this one seamless network that's going to come about to be our railway. And sometimes people do ask me, what is the one big thing you've learned about HS2? So I always say, besides the technical skills and everything that I've picked up from the project, the one key takeaway from this project that I've picked up is the importance of difference. Difference is crucial. And it's exactly that difference that's helping to build one of the largest infrastructure projects in Europe today. Then, earlier this year, I had the opportunity to go back to the Middle East and work on another project called the Diriyah Gate project, also being designed in Saudi Arabia. It's a smart city project similar to the one as NEOM Oxygen, only this one is being developed with heritage preservation in mind. So it's going to look at integrating cutting-edge technologies while also looking at preserving heritage and culture the city has. On this project, I got to work on the functional and technical requirements for those smart services that we will be developing. And I learned a lot about the detail that goes into laying out these functional and technical requirements for the various smart services, and also making sure that these details in these requirements would match the stakeholders' expectations. Which brings me to the last project that I'm currently working on, ECDP, East Coast Digital Program. Has anyone heard of ECDP before? Okay. ECDP is looking to do something quite simple. It's going to work with 32 industrial partners, including Siemens, PwC, Rambo, Epic Rail, and a bunch of other companies. And we're looking to develop the next railway, or the next generation of railway, by introducing digital signaling technologies like ETCS which stands for European Train Control Systems. Now, think of digital signaling as the equivalent of your traffic lights. Think of signaling as the equivalent of your traffic lights in your road. What does digital signaling mean? Before that, let me give you a quick background of how the building works in general. Say you want to get a train from point A to point B, from that green light to that red light. You need a couple of actors that need to work together in order to get that train to move safely. Firstly, you will need operational telecoms like GSMR to ensure that drivers can communicate from the train to the signal and back so that they know exactly where they're meant to be going. You also need station telecoms for the customer information systems and for the CCTV. You then need signals to make sure that there's no conflicting train movements and trains don't end up running into each other. You will then need interlocking, which is the machinery that sets these rails in the correct position. Because a train, if the rail is not set correctly, could go either here or here, depending on how the rails are set. So interlocking ensures that the rails are set in the correct way based on the signals that the train goes in the correct direction. All these actors need to work together very efficiently. And signaling and telecoms form a very major part of getting you home from here if you're going to take the train today. Digital signaling is all about replacing those line side signals, just like the traffic lights that you see on roads, and bringing the information that's contained in those signals digitally on a digital display in cab for the driver. So the driver now no longer needs to look out of his screen to look at what the signal is telling him. It's going to be available to him on a digital display within the comfort of his own cab. It mitigates a lot of problems and also ensures faster trains and more efficient railway. Yep. So the driver can now will get the information about the signal straight in his cab instead of looking at the signal on the outside. So what have I learned from this and what do I want to share with you today? Well, it's a very long list of things if I were to name everything, but I don't want to put you to sleep, so I've been very conscious to shorten the list. The first thing that I've learned is the importance of diversity and inclusivity in engineering, particularly for women in engineering. Engineering can be quite a daunting field, especially for women. The racial disparity of women in engineering was visible during my time at uni and is visible even now during my time at work. In industry, for example, I've noticed only about 10% of the people who are present are only women. So it's quite an intimidating experience for women to try and contribute to these meetings and make a move. Take PPE for an example. Personal protective equipment. I think that was in the latest slide, sorry. But PPE is the orange high waist and the helmet and your shoes and all the gear that you wear when you go on site. There was a survey that was conducted for the UK women workforce, and they found that women are being ignored when it comes to designing these PPE. Because PPE, or personal protective equipment, is originally designed for male. So it fits very loosely when women wear it. So I feel like sometimes women just tend to be afraid to ask for what they want, because on a deep subconscious level, they're afraid that they will end up getting replaced by someone that's less demanding. But I just want to highlight that the role of women in engineering is very crucial. And it's great to see both academia and industry making the change to incorporate more women into engineering. I've seen a lot of amazing women take up very challenging roles at work, and they've absolutely rocked it and smashed in those roles. I was also very pleased to attend a briefing earlier this year in my company, where they introduced a special set of PPEs for women. So just to make it clear, I've never felt like a woman in a man's job. I've always felt like a woman doing a job that she's enjoying and she's learning from. And I'm really, really glad that times are changing for the better. Secondly, I want to talk about the importance of innovation. Innovation isn't just encouraged, it's very crucial. Companies are in fact being encouraged to hire younger minds because they bring with them fresher ideas. So remember, the key to thinking is always to think outside the box, because if you're not innovating, you're falling behind. The next point I'd like to highlight is the importance of joining professional organizations. These organizations provide a great platform to network and stay up to date with the latest industry trends. For engineering, there's a lot of professional organizations like the IET, the IMIT, and the BCS, and they are really crucial because they help you stay in touch with people who are in your network, and they can even be a ticket to the next opportunity. Next, I want to focus on building your network. When I was in uni, I thought that as long as I did well in my courses, I did well in uni, I stayed up to date with technology, I'd be fine. But turns out, when I did end up working in industry, I learned that who you know is just as important as what you know. So your network is really a safety net. So build on it because it can take you way, way far in life. And the last thing that I want to stress on is to embrace the no brand philosophy. So when I was a child, I used to stuff my face with this Korean purple sweet potato chips. I don't know how many of you guys have tried it, but it's been my favorite chips as a child, and it still stands as one of my favorite chips. But what's really inspiring about this brand is it's called No Brand, because their philosophy is very simple. They think that the real value of the product lies in the product itself and not in the marketing of the product, which I think is a very beautiful philosophy, and it applies very much to our own real lives and our own careers. As much as your titles and your degrees and the company you work for and the accolades matter, what really matters is the skills that you bring, your personality, your soft skills, your optimism, your innovation. So develop on building yourself and everything else will follow. So the last thing that I want to speak about is the advice to current students. I have been working for about a year now in industry, but I remember being a student just like it was yesterday. So even though I've been working, it's all still very new to me. And I want to leave some of the students with some advice that I've picked up along the way. Firstly, stay curious. It's very important to look at opportunities that are outside of your comfort zone and explore them. Why I say this is because when I was in uni during my final year, I remember having a very hard time to pick my final year dissertation. Dr. Guan, who's joined online, would know. And I wanted something that was different, something that was beyond my scope, something that would expand my horizons. Dr. Guan suggested the Open RAN project with digital twins to me. And I picked it up. And it was exactly that project that exposed me to the world of telecommunications and the future of telecommunications. And now, today, it's exactly that field that I've ended up working in, and I'm loving it. Which is why I say it's so important to explore ideas beyond your comfort zone. You may end up discovering passions that you never knew existed, or in some instances, even end up making a career out of it, like I did. Secondly, it's invaluable to have some real-world experience under your belt. Whether it's through a summer internship, whether it's through a part-time job, or whether it's through some sort of secondments, it's crucial to build on getting some sort of real-world experience. I learned a lot from my time as a tutor during my time at uni, as an SLA during my time at uni, and as IT systems administrator. And though not all of them ended up giving me technical skills, they definitely helped me develop on my soft skills. And I think this really helped me make my transition into the world of industry and work a lot easier. So get some real world experience because it's really, really invaluable. Thirdly, build in your network. I think I've already touched on this one, but we're really very lucky today that we have a wealth of experienced academic and industrial professionals with us in the room. I'm sure we'll all like to share our experience with us during the networking session. And then I want to embrace failure. Very cliche, but I have to mention it because it's true. No matter what you do, you are sometimes going to fail. Not everything you try will work, because the world of work and academics is very demanding, and it's okay. But it's important to stay resilient, to be adaptable, and to expose yourself to new opportunities, even every time you fail, because that way you will be able to grow and develop yourself better. I've then got 3 things that I want to touch upon that I think every engineer of the future should possess. Firstly, multidisciplinary systems. Systems are getting more complex and more integrated. It's not enough now just to have a depth of knowledge in just one area. While you need to have a depth of knowledge in your one core area, it's just as important that you develop a breadth of knowledge across various disciplines. Secondly, interdisciplinary applications. Disciplines now sit at the intersection of various sectors. Take energy, for example. Energy used to once be the realm of just electrical engineers with some sort of mechanical input. But with solar energy and hydrogen energy, you even need to understand a bit of chemistry and material science now. thirdly, systems engineering. As a multidisciplinary system and interdisciplinary applications become the norm, systems engineering is crucial to have, as you now need to manage these systems right up till the life cycle. So these are skills that you no longer need to develop later in your career. It's something you need to have right day one in your toolkit. As I conclude, I'd like to share a story with you that I came across recently that left quite an impact on me. Does anyone want to guess what his age is?
55.
More fast, more than 50.
65.
You're closer. He's 70.
70.
So
Oh,
Dr. To Han. He graduated from medical school just last week at the age of 70. 70. Now imagine that for a second. A 70-year-old retired professional sales businessman taking upon a whole new career in medicine, quite a long degree, that too during his retirement. If someone asked me what I do at 70, it would definitely not be this. But it's amazing to see what he's done. And what I want you all to take away from his life is this. When he was asked what kept him going, he said sayang. Sayang is a phrase in the Tagalog language that means it would be a shame not to see it come true. So to him, sayang meant it would be a shame not to see his potential if he didn't try now. Even if he was starting out late, and even if it was going to get hard, it would be sayang if he gave up now. So I want you all to take away with you this phrase of his, sayang, because he believed that nothing is ever too hard, it's just hard work. So for all the future innovators and for all the students who are going to be entering university soon or are going to be graduating soon, from my personal experience, I'd like to assure you all that as long as you stay curious, as long as you're resilient, and as long as you're adaptable to all the changes, though the transition from uni to work may seem intimidating and a big change, it's never a step into a world of unknown. It's always going to be a step into opportunity. So keep trying and keep working, because if you give up now, it's going to be sayang. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for your time here and online. If you have any questions, you can ask me now, or feel free to connect on LinkedIn. I put up my QR code there. Thank you.
That was also recorded. Is it possible to reduce the this bar here to a single one, so that we can also see a bit more of the screen?